All right, if you're building your dream cabin out in the woods, one thing you can't go without is a reliable water source. So in this video, we're going to do a step-by-step design. I'm going to show you start to finish how I set this system up. You're not reliant on grid power, and you are not reliant on a rural water system, and you're not taking the gamble of drilling a well. So if this video is for you, stay tuned, check it out. Here's the system I've set up to provide fresh, clean water coming into the cabin, and it is off-grid and self-sufficient. All right, so in this video, we're going to cover 4 main points. One of them is going to be how to find the water, how to store the water, how to move the water, and how to filter the water, and then doing all this where it's off-grid capable. All right, number 1, how do you find the water? Well, this can be especially difficult if you live up in the mountains or in a dry environment. We are in southeastern Oklahoma. We're in the mountains. And I can tell you that finding water is a little bit difficult. I have drilled 2 300-foot wells on my property, and I finally got one of them that would do about 250 gallons in a day. Not enough to live off of. So went back to the drawing board, and here's what I came up with. We installed gutter systems. This area averages about 49 inches of rain a year, okay? And with that, like off of this roof here, okay, you're going to capture about 600 gallons of water per 1 inch of rain on 1,000 square feet of roof, give or take. That's pretty close. Well, we just got almost 2 inches of rain yesterday, so that would have been 1,200 gallons of water that got captured off of this roof. Okay, so your next thing is going to be, how are you going to store your water? All right, you need to store your water in a tank that is completely dark. I see a lot of people try and do this in IVC totes. You're going to have algae problems in the totes. I've seen people try to paint the totes. I've seen them try to cover them. I'm not saying you can't do that, but I'm saying if you're going to invest the time and the energy into this, just buy a good tank. You can get these ones from Home Depot or Lowe's. In the past, it used to be that you could get them from Tractor Supply, and Atwood's would occasionally have them. Tractor Supply in the past actually had the best tanks. They had a liner on the inside of them, and those are the ones that I primarily have at my residence. However, these tanks work just as well. Okay, so we got our gutter system here running on the back side of the cabin. All right, this is, I believe this one's a 5-inch gutter. We have them do 1 downspout on the gutter. So straight run, all angles down this way. The far end, that's our east, is capped off. And here's where our downspout is. You get the adapter to go from that rectangle cutout to a round 4-inch sewer and drain pipe. It's the thin wall pipe is what I use. You come down. The way that I do these, okay, is I come down into the ground and I come over and trench. I just bury it, trench, and come back up to the tank. The reason I do this is aesthetics primarily. A lot of times the tank is not this close to the house, and I don't like overhead lines running, okay? So you set it up like this, it keeps it all neat and pretty. Okay, so we've discussed how you're finding the water and how you're going to capture it, how you're going to store it in one of these tanks. This one here is a 2,500 gallon tank, okay? I wouldn't go much smaller than that. Maybe if it's a weekend cabin, you could get by with some, maybe a 1,500 gallon tank. And the reason I say I wouldn't go much smaller is because when you get into a drought, you are not getting rain, right? So you want it to be that you can still come up and enjoy the cabin during, July, August, September. Those are typically our drier months here. October to April are really our wet months. And so you store up most of your water then. Not to say that we don't get rain the other months, but it's not as prevalent as it is October through April. So I would stick with a 2,500 gallon minimum. They're easy to combine. If you shop around on Facebook or Craigslist, you can find some used ones. 2,500 gallon is very prevalent, okay? Once you start getting into like the oddball sizes, 1,500, 1,750, 3,000 gallon. 3,000 gallons nice if if you're only going to have one, but especially the smaller ones, it's like your footprint doesn't get any smaller. So it's the same width. The only thing you're losing is some of your height. So you just got to weigh it out. You got to see where your downspout is going to measure out. 2,500 gallon tanks are the smallest ones I use on my place. Okay, now we're going to discuss how we're moving the water. That's where the pump comes in. Okay, let's back up and go over here. You want valves everywhere on these things, okay? Because sometimes you get water leaks. It just happens. So you do a ball valve here on the outlet to the tank. Okay. So there's our 1-inch ball valve. Come in here. And your next thing is going to be, you need a check valve coming into the inlet for your pump. The reason you need a jet pump or a check valve is that when this pump builds up pressure and the switch kicks it off, if you don't have the check valve, all that pressure is going to bleed back to tank. Ask me how I know. So check valve prevents that. This is just a shark bite, 1-inch check valve. Got that off of Amazon. A lot of your PEX fittings, okay, all of these brass PEX fittings, I get those off of Amazon. They are significantly cheaper than your box store, okay? This particular pump was on clearance at Home Depot. I think they've quit making it. I've been super impressed with it. It's worked out great. It's a 0.5 horsepower shallow well pump. And it will actually, once you prime it, it will actually suck the water from that tank. So you don't necessarily have to worry about the tank being higher than the pump. It will pool. So you've got that, okay? Now this is your outlet here. It is going to tee, you got to have it tee off to where it'll go to your pressure tank. Your pressure tank, this one is about a 20 gallon, okay? Your pressure tank is going to maintain water pressure in the house between 30 and 50 psi, according to where your pressure switch is set on your pump. It's going to maintain that pressure in the house so that your pump is not constantly on, off every time somebody flushes a toilet or flips a faucet on. So it allows you some reserve to save the contacts in the switch and the motor itself from having to constantly flip on and off. From this T, we're going to come up here. Okay, I got part of it branching off unfiltered to a hydrant on the outside that I used for my RV hookups. And then we're going to tee off. We got a valve here and go through the filters. This will be generally a sediment filter. So, maybe like a 20 micron filter here. It's going to pull out your large debris. And then we will go through like a 5 micron filter before we send it into the house. You got a ball valve on each side of your filtration system so that you can close each of those and change your filters without losing a bunch of water or causing your pump to kick on and off or draining the water in the house. Comes out of here, goes back down into the ground and goes into the house. I will show you, I also did a shut off inside the house just in case. Now, if you want to make this off grid, okay, this is just a 20 amp circuit for this pump. Could have easily wired up a regular, because these don't come with a cord on the end, right? They come like this, okay? So just like that, they stop. So you have to wire up this inside. I could have easily wired up an appliance cord here. And I say appliance cord because you want something a little bit heavier than just a 15 amp extension cord. Even though this isn't going to pull a high amperage, like this is a max load of 10.5 amps, okay? You're not going to pull a high amperage. Because of the load of a 0.5 horsepower pump, you'd be better off to just run it on a plug that is rated for about 20 amps. So hook in your appliance cord right here, and you could easily just plug it into a generator instead of having it run to a 20 amp circuit like I have here. When you do a well house like this, I like to keep an outlet on the inside so that I've got a place to plug in a heater, some heat tape that could be thermostatically controlled. And so it just gives you some options there with how to keep the temperature in here. Or sometimes you need an outdoor outlet, so it's there if you need it. All right, inside the house here, I just did a water shutoff. This is just a cutout that you can put into sheetrock. I labeled it for the new owners, and it has just got a 1-inch valve. So if you need to service something inside the house, you've just got another option to be able to turn on and off the water without going outside. Totally not necessary, but nice to have. Okay, so to wrap up the filtration side of things, you're going to run it through your sediment filter. Sometimes you'll have a screen before that sediment filter. So sediment filter, then a 5-micron carbon filter, and then it will come in the house. We will use it without filtering it any farther for dishwasher, washing laundry, taking showers, stuff like that. As far as drinking water, we keep an on-the-counter Berkey filter. It's just a gravity fill. You dump it in the top, it filters through, and it's got a spout on the bottom. That is what we use for our coffee, tea, drinking water, and stuff like that. Okay, so as far as your off-grid options for running your pump, you've got a few, okay? One, you could use a DC powered pump. So a 12-volt pump, you could have it do the same thing, RV powered, or I'm sorry, an RV pump is what a lot of people will use. And it'll have a pressure switch built into it. You could hook it into that pressure tank just the same. Your second option is to use a small generator. Totally doable. Now you've got the generator running all the time. If you're needing power in the cabin anyways, totally viable option. Your third option, perhaps the most efficient, quietest, and seems to really be taking off here lately, is just getting a simple solar generator. If that pump is 10.5 amps, just for simplicity's sake, this is not scientific, it's going to be about 1,000 watts that it's going to take to kick on. Okay, so if you're going to go with the solar generator, you need to get one that's going to be able to power 1,000 watts. The solar generator really seems like they're the way to go. You can get them now. Boy, they have so many uses. I got videos on them. I'm not going to go off on that tangent, but you could do a DC powered 12-volt pump. So you just charge that battery off of a solar panel. You can do a generator, small generator will run that just fine. Or you can do a solar generator. So those are your 3 off-grid options for keeping your water pump going if you are nowhere near the grid. All right, guys. Well, now you know how to find water, how to capture it, how to store it, how to filter it, how to pressurize it, and how to do that in an off-grid manner. So if you found this video useful or helpful, please go ahead and put a comment down below. Like and subscribe would greatly help the channel. I've got a bunch more of these projects coming. Fixing to start another cabin. I do rainwater projects all the time, solar installs. So we've got plenty more going on here at the homestead and or nearby, helping others. And hopefully you found this useful. We will catch you all next time. Mountain Wizard out. See ya.